David Kiersey was an American psychologist who developed a personality classification system that uses a hierarchical structure with 4 main temperaments, 8 roles, and 16 role variants. It classifies people according to how they deal with 4 aspects of life, namely thought, order, feelings, and other people. Kiersey coordinated and developed previous ideas of personality typing, and, as with Jung and the MBTI, used 4 dichotomies. For historical consistency, he retained the same words as Jung for these dichotomies, but he developed their meanings so that the words no longer seem well chosen, although they are entrenched in the literature and therefore remain in use. The Kiersey Temperament sorter, or KTS, works like this. People are first divided into 2 large groups depending on how they think. These are sensing and intuitive. Each group is then subdivided according to other dichotomies, but the order in which the dichotomies are applied differ between the 2 groups. Sensing and intuitive are Jung's terms, but for the KTS, the thought dichotomy is better described as observing detail versus deriving general principles, or concrete versus abstract. We all have a mental model of ourselves and our environment that forms the basis of all we think and do. Building this model involves 2 things: sensing our environment and cognitive processing of the sensed information to allow us to determine things we cannot sense, such as what we cannot see or what will happen in the future. We all do both of these, but not equally. The majority of people, maybe 75%, are sensing. Their mental model is primarily built on experiences such as sight, taste, sounds, and these inputs impact their mental model easily and without effort. They do as much cognitive processing as they need to, but no more because it does not come easily to them. They are observers looking for specific relevant facts and details. They notice prominent things in their environment without effort and visualize issues and problems in the same way, with detailed observation. Under pressure, they tend to prioritize gathering and assessing this data over the general task in hand and can fail to see the wood for the trees. A minority of people are intuitive. For them, cognitive processing comes easily and without effort, but sensing does not. They sense only what they need to in order to inform the development of the general principles that occupy most of their thought. They notice things that carry significance for improving their understanding of principles, but outside of this context, sensory input tends to be ignored and only registered with effort. They gloss over details once they have grasped general ideas and do not notice things around them just because they're there. They conceptualize issues and problems through general principles rather than building up a picture from observation of data and detail. They spend time developing these ideas and are specifically observant of things that allow them to discriminate between different possible theories or scenarios. They appreciate general principles, systems, elegant logical arguments and debates between possible explanations of what is observed. Their riskiest tendency is to jump to conclusions. The KTS follows Jung in that judging versus perceiving refers primarily to how we deal with information and observations. For those with a preference for data and detail, sensing people, this is the second most important dichotomy. It refers to a need for order. Judging people seek order in their lives and what they do. They are schedulers who prefer organized lives with tasks completed one by one. They resist changes they see as unnecessary. They can appear as rigid and inflexible. Perceiving people do not need order, and they resist it when it is externally imposed. They keep several tasks going at once, moving from one to another as the need arises, the need often being a looming deadline. They prefer to leave options open in case things change. They become bored with routine and seek change out of curiosity. They are seen by judging people as chaotic and disorganized, but cope well with change and are flexible and adaptable. They can appear to be indecisive. This dichotomy can lead to conflict between people of opposite types. Perceivers may regard judging colleagues or bosses as rigid, inflexible, and controlling. Judges may view perceiving people as disorganized and chaotic. For people with a preference for general principles over detailed observations, i.e. intuitives, thinking versus feeling is the second most important dichotomy. Thinking types favour making decisions based on logical thought over consideration of the effect that an action may have on themselves and others. They may not trust their feelings and particularly dislike feelings that conflict with reason or make them seem illogical. Thinkers do not like to show emotion and are inclined to be embarrassed by displays of feeling in others. They may suppress the influence that emotion has on what they say and do. Consequently, they make tough-minded, logical and analytical decisions. They may then give some thought to the likely effect of their decision on others, or they may not, particularly if under stress. If they do express feelings under stress, they may do it in an unskilled and unrestrained manner. Feeling people are the opposite. They make their decisions based on their set of core values, taking into account the impact any action may have on themselves and others. They trust their feelings and attend to them. They don't have the same inhibitions as thinkers about showing emotions or allowing them to influence what they say and do. They make decisions based on their effect on themselves and others, and may then give some thought to whether the decision makes any sense, or they may not, particularly if under stress. Like judging versus perceiving, thinking versus feeling can lead to conflict between people of opposite types, where thinkers view feelers as illogical and inconsistent, and feelers view thinkers as insensitive, cold, and even cruel. Extrovert versus introvert refers to how a person deals with other people, or how sociable they are. Extroverts prefer to relax with others and interact with others. They are refreshed by social interaction. Under pressure or stress, they tend to become talkative and rapidly become frustrated and lonely with solitude. Introverts prefer to keep their thoughts and feelings more private. They need time alone or with just a few close associates to re-energize, relax, and organize their thoughts. Introverts are fatigued by social interaction. Under pressure or stress, they tend to become silent. Jung and the MBTI mention this dichotomy first because it is the most obvious difference between people and the one with which we can most easily classify others. Kiersey made it the least important because, unlike the others, its value in predicting how people behave goes no further than the dichotomy itself. So, being an extrovert says nothing more about someone than that when they are in contact with other people, they are extroverted.